You know, there are many people who try to leave the city, the chaos of the city, to retreat into the woods, retreat into nature, and be surrounded by this peace that is present in nature. They don't want to be surrounded by the chaos of the movements of the city and the busyness and the running around. Perhaps that's one of the reasons I'm recording in this park, and I have done so for the past couple of weeks. But the beauty is that whatever peace is recognized in the midst of the most peaceful place on the planet, it's felt within you. And this is a turn that I want and invite you to take for yourself. It's an inward turn. You are turning the attention inwardly and realize that if you are in the most peaceful place on the planet, or the most holiest place on the planet, that peace is felt within you. And so if that's the case, then that begs the question, if I am in the middle of an erupting volcano, or in the middle of a tornado, a sandstorm, or in the middle of the turbulence of the city, you can probably hear all the sirens, around me. The park isn't big enough to put all the noise in the city away. I'm in northwest London, and you probably hear sirens or the car movements, or aeroplanes even. They are so loud. Even in the middle of this beautiful park, you may find that it's actually quite chaotic. So much movement, so much things taking place. But in essence, if peace is felt, it's felt within you. On the flip side, if you are in the most peaceful place in the world, you may still feel a tremendous amount of chaos, a tremendous amount of turbulence, movement. And this can all be taking place within you, in the mind. And so whether we are talking about physical chaos, or internal mental chaos, psychological chaos, and even emotional chaos, you could be drowning in this cocktail of emotions and feelings that may or may not have been triggered because of the surroundings and certain situations that have happened in life. But you could be in the most peaceful place and be torn apart by chaos. And so, how do you find peace in the midst of chaos? Regardless of whether it's psychological, emotional, spiritual, or physical surrounding chaos. How does one find peace? The funny thing is that when we do retreat and go into this forest that is so still and quiet, I would argue that the forest is more chaotic than if you are in the heart of a city, with the sharp edges and the orderly lined streets and the lampposts and the crossroads that the humans have all built together. Is this not more orderly than the dynamic roots of the trees and the dynamic sounds that takes place? There is no uniformity, if you really think about it, unless you zoom out far enough to see the order in the midst of the natural chaos of a forest. But regardless of the chaos, one thing we've got to realize that all chaos really is, or disorder, is just movement. All chaos really is, it's just movement. Imagine that you are in the heart of this turbulent city, or in the midst of a turbulent mind, if there is a button where you can just press pause and it suddenly stops, it all freezes in place, you've stopped time, all of a sudden there is stillness, there is peace. So we can immediately see that the chaos and the turbulence that does take place is movement. As soon as the movement ceases, the chaos and the turbulence ceases. So what if we are able to recognize that we are always recognizing movement? Let's have a look at this. What if we are able to recognize that we are always recognizing movement? When you are in the middle of a chaotic, turbulent city and all the cars are moving and people are running past you and so much is happening all over the place, we are able to see this. We are able to know that the cars are running around and the people are running past you and the lights in the city and the sounds and all these movements. We are able to see this. It's how I am able to describe it to you. Now, because we are able to recognize this and because we are able to see this, perhaps we are also able to just observe this without being entangled and swayed by the movement. If you have a superpower, then that is the superpower you should cultivate. To be able to not be swayed by movement, by the chaos of the city, the chaos of these people shouting. There's so much chaos taking place, but regardless of that, you may be able to just settle in peace regardless of the movement taking place. There's just a plane down there, there's people shouting down there, and then there's the sirens, there's a house being broken into, I don't know. But are you the sirens? Are you the noise? Are you the sound? Are you the plane? Are you the shouting? Are you the turbulence and the movement? What you are is the stillness that is recognizing that movement. That's what you really are. And so if you find yourself, the most challenging of the scenarios I presented to you in the beginning, it would be that if you are in the middle of the most peaceful place on the planet, whatever that may be, if you are in the middle of the most peaceful place in the planet, but the mind is turbulent, the mind is going haywire, there's just so much movement, there's so much turbulence. What do? Are you being swayed? If someone was sat next to you while you were experiencing this turbulence in the mind, this chaos in the mind, so many thoughts just firing at such a high speed, if someone was next to you and asked you what's going on and you described to them the situation, my mind is turbulent, my mind is about to explode with thoughts, the fact that you were able to describe this means that you were able to recognize the movement. And the fact that you were able to recognize the movement and the turbulence, you have to ask the question, who is it that is able to recognize it? Because the truth is that which is recognizing the movement must be unmoving. It must be unmoving. If I'm waiting at a train station or a bus stop, if I am standing still at the train station, I can see the train pass by. And the reason why I see the movement of the train is because I am stationary. I am unmoving. But if I was moving at the same pace of the train, it would appear as though the train isn't moving. So that means the fact that you are able to recognize that there is chaos internally, the mind is going crazy with all of these thoughts and the movements. The fact that you are able to recognize this means that you are actually unmoving. You are free from this movement. And so this gives the opportunity to be disentangled with that movement, with the chaos. And you are able to just be and observe. Everything is in motion, and you are able to recognize this motion. Everything is in motion relative to you, who is absolutely still and unmoving. That's who you are. Before the thoughts, before the emotions, before the opinions, before the ideas, before the belief system, you are unmoving, untouched by any turbulence, by any chaos. The moment you decide that you are any form of movement, you are deeply entangled and swayed. You'll be entangled and mixed and drowned. You'll find yourself drowning in this cocktail of emotions and whatever turbulence that may be experienced. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you are able to find this still, peaceful, unmoving place in the midst of whatever chaos that may be taking place. If you've enjoyed this video, I really recommend that you watch this one over here, because I speak about how to settle in being and enter a meditative state. This is Hassan from The Spiritual Walks, and we are on a journey towards the truth.